that suck, but also whatever cooks. But if you give us too much shit, we'll just get pissed off and quit. So don't do it. It's time for Marvel Comics Spotlight Show, telling you everything that we know. It's time for Marvel Comics Spotlight Show. Let's go. Let's go.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Weird Science Marvel Comics Podcast, episode 99, I believe. It is the legacy number 599, coming up to 600, and just maybe, we'll decide by the end, maybe a Patreon-only show next week. We've never really done it for the Marvel Podcast, and I just want to rile up Stork. Is what I want to do. It's how I keep in touch with Stork, is do that so he can tell me that it's pretty low. But we have two books that me and you are going to talk about. We might continue after that with Gray. I haven't been able to get a hold of him yet because of the time difference of here and Japan. But I'm assuming that we will probably end up trying to do one or two books, but that's always up in the air. Mm-hmm. But me and Matt are here. Matt's back from vacation. He is ready to roll, or as Gray says, holiday.
I was replaced by an AI for the week, so. And he even got his own song.
Well, he does. And the thing is, most people might think that you meant Gabe, but no.
Well,
you meant
too.
Gray. The weird thing is, the joke with Gray being a Japanese AI, it ends up where when you say it, you almost like, ooh, people kind of don't like AI. It's just a joke. But here we are with a bunch of jokes as well, because we got one book. Holy moly. I don't know what's going on. And we have two books that feature Wolverine. I say we just get the hell out of here and we give it to Ruben and Jason over at the Weird Dose of X. And again, if we do end up having next week the episode 600 for us and whatever the hell episode they're on as a Patreon exclusive, I didn't tell them that, so we'll have to see. But we might just do it anyway. Maybe we'll do it, but we have two books for me and you, and they're doozies. They're real doozies. These things are. I didn't know what was. Me and you rarely know what's coming out. So when
I
it
just
comes
look
out,
in the morning that day.
Yeah. So I looked in the afternoon, and then we got the review copies. So I checked them out, and I thought, okay, we could do this, or that. And when I came up with the idea, it was the same that you said. We would do Wolverine, Spider-Man, Wolverine. We like that book enough. The Mark Guggenheim, Carrie Andrews one, because there's like 17 of those books and I get confused. Mm-hmm. But then the other one I'm looking through, I'm like, well, we haven't been doing those verses for a while, but there is a Spider-Man versus the Sinister 16. I'm like, the Sinister 16, get the heck out of. So I put, and then I'm like, maybe we'll dip back into the Gods times with One World Under Doom. Gods, One World Under Doom. I'm like, nope. I looked at that and I'm like, is that happening? And then the next thing was Savage Wolverine. And I thought, well, maybe I should get a hold of Jason and Ruben, but they don't usually do those side items. And it usually has to do with what comes out. And even if they do, that's fine. Obviously, the fun times that are to be had with us. So I ended up like, yeah, you said, let's do Savage Wolverine. And then I get the review copy, start reading. I'm like, how long is this thing? Holy.
49 pages.
49 pages. It felt like 49 years.
I fell asleep an hour later. I finished it.
Seriously, this is the full review from us. I fell asleep too. I started reading it at 3:30 in the afternoon.
And you never fell asleep.
Yeah, I fell asleep and ended up where when I woke up, I was so groggy and I hadn't taken what they call the emergency medicine for the night. And I thought, maybe I won't take it today because I just got a pretty good nap. I ended up getting about an hour and a half nap, though it was like one of those weird, like half sleeping naps that I was kind of, but I fell asleep. Me and my dog, we ended up conking out. When I got up, I had the tablet there and I'm like, whew, Mia, that thing was not good. I went to sleep and I was joking like, man, I wait till I tell Matt, you fell asleep too.
Absolutely.
But here is, and we're going to do that first. First off, the book is way too much money. It's almost a ridiculous farce that they're charging $7 for this. Now, if this would have had good art, I could say, we dealt with that Joe Kelly Deadpool Wolverine WW3 nonsense. But we said, overall, maybe
Perfect
get it
art.
because the art was so great.
Yeah.
The next book that we talk about, the Carrie Andrews art's
Great.
incredible. It's
Yeah.
incredible. I am not a big art guy, but I would say that book is probably worth the price of admission just for the art. It looks
Yep.
great. This book art, it's bad. Like, it's not even like, oh, maybe you'll like it. It is bad. And the story, I don't know what the hell is going on. I don't know who greenlit this, what they were thinking, and what anything is going on in this book. This book isn't worth 7 cents, and they're charging $7. It's it's an atrocity.
There's an art change. The first half is okay, and
It's
then the back
okay.
half is just bad, man.
Just imagine an issue, usually, and it's a one-shot. Thank God, right? So when you're going, usually it ramps up, right? You start to, especially Wolverine. This action that ends up happening by the end, it's like trying to solve an enigma wrapped in a puzzle with a whisper down the lane. You have no idea what's going on. The idea of having a bunch of people that have Handsy McGee fingers coming out of them might look cool,
gross.
but it doesn't even look like anything. Like, it's not even like body horror. It's art horror. It's my eyes horror. I'm telling you, my eyes were vomiting from just the awful art. But I'm going to read the solicit because I just want to see how low Marvel's going with trying to dupe people to try to read this piece of crap book. Logan's Righteous Ride. The creator of the wildly popular Kill 6 Billion Demons brings his horror talents to Marvel Comics. Wolverine cuts a bloody path through the American West. Does he?
No.
He's in one town. You don't even know where it is. As Krakoa's sins come back to haunt all mutant kind. Like, that's what we need. Like, this book had to have been written before. Like, if you're still dealing with Krakoa, I mean, right now the sins are that out of the asses. That's even worse. But witness this action-packed horror, Infinity comic. There you go. I didn't even. It's an Infinity comic, and you're charging $7. We were
really
duped.
we got majorly duped. That never happens. I feel violated in some way here.
I do too, but in a good way. I meant in a bad way.
This is really an Infinity comic.
Yeah, that's the last thing. Can we just not talk?
Yeah, I'm fine.
No,
with
we
it.
have to talk about it now. We got to warn people because here's the thing too. It's Wolverine. Now, I don't know if you realize this popular character, right?
Yeah.
You have some people wanting some, Wolverine action, though there's so many Wolverine books.
There's
but
5 a week.
you asshole Marvel, you have to put on the cover Infinity comic first, guys, because right away that shows you like this is bullshit, and it is. But I've read Infinity comics. Some of them are pretty good. Jason and Ruben, they take their wasted
They
time
love them.
with
They
that
spend
deal.
about 45 minutes an episode on that crap.
Minute, moly. Yeah. No, they do like that. They didn't this week because Jason just got a hold of me today.
Yeah.
And he said, no Infinity comic. And I'll just get tone from it that he seemed very upset. He seemed like, oh my God, like almost like I was going to lose my mind. What do you mean no Infinity comic? Also, he always says Infinity comic when he gives me a list of what they say. And I'm like, that is astonishing. Like by now I finally figured out
He
the
also
name
tells
of it.
you to edit stuff and you never edit
Yeah.
anything. So.
What do you think? I'm listening.
edit out that cough.
Yeah, he's
right.
like, edit that out. I'm like, really? Like, you better make more of an effort to show me that. Like, yeah, that ain't happening. But Infinity, oh God. Well, that kind of lessens my
It
anger.
lessens the blow a little bit.
But
yeah.
it doesn't lessen the real blow of $7. Really? Just get the app. The app is less for you can read the shit for free then, pretty much. Ay. Here we go. I'll give you the credits. It's Savage Wolverine #1. After the fall of Krakoa, Wolverine jumped on his bike and struck out on his own, it says. Even that is generic. Written by Tom Bloom. Arts by Devmala Promanik and Guillermo Sana. Colors by Hava Tartaglia. Letters by VC's Joe Sabino. And it is terrible. It's really bad. Wolverine pulls into town. He needs some gas. At first, I thought that it was Old Man Logan, like something along the lines that he was on some wasteland. But yeah, he wants this, and it's like a whiteboard that's up as a as like a billboard that ends up saying Tropica just miles out, like almost like they don't want you to go, but yet they do because they're telling you this. Why not just maybe Wolverine finds a broken down billboard and realizes this is a deal? But you go into this, rolls into this town, and right away there's a guy without a shirt that's talking shit, and I'm like, I don't know what's happening.
He's got red eyes.
Book. Yeah, he's got red eyes. Wolverine doesn't give two shits. He parks his bike in the weirdest freaking park. It's not even a parking space. And then he's mad later that it's gone and starts drinking his generic ass beer, which will come into play by
just
the
in
end.
The middle of the parking lot. He starts drinking a beer.
He's just there. They got open container laws here in the States there, Wolverine. You better watch out. So he's there at this motel, and he ends up seeing these guys banging on a door saying, "Hey, buddy, open up, man. Don't make it hard on us, Mason." And then all of a sudden, these guys, again, glowing eyes, they start growing like weird like they're just multiple fingered guys, fingered handsy McGee's. They have like just everything becomes hands and fingers. It looks terrible.
I saw this. I'm like, oh God, here we go. The finger monsters.
And you got the finger banging going on. But in the meantime, the art isn't even good enough to, I sat there. I'm like, what are these guys? Like, what are they? A bunch of hot dogs. Oh,
and this is the better art.
Yeah, this is actually the decent enough art. It gets so much worse. So these guys are trying to get this guy, Mason, which is only the setup for Wolverine to go in. And then he's like, you don't know, mess with me, bub. And the one guy says, I know you. You're Wolverine. I ain't scared. And they fight. And I'm like, what is happening already? Like, there is no setup to any of this. At this point, Wolverine should be like, all right, I'm going to the next town. He needs gas, it seems. I don't even think he gets gas at any point, but he ends up where he fights these guys, pretty much just slices and dices the shit out of them with the help of this guy, Mason, who comes in. And he, like, hits him with a bat or something. It looks like a small bat, too.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So he's like, hey, my name's Jack Mason. I used to work at the radio station. It was pretty cool until this one guy who I grew up with decided to take over, and he started his deep fake podcast and radio show. I'm like, what's going on? I like that they end up where they have the wall. It's like the evidence wall with the yarn and stuff, and you put the one pin to make the guy look like a clown.
It's just a pin from a zoomed out picture to a more zoomed in picture. There's no useful information on that board.
There's nothing except a bunch of pictures of this dude. I think this guy's a little obsessed. But
Mr.
even then,
Clean or whatever.
Why is he there? Like, it almost feels like he's there. Hey, look, I got my board of what's going on. It's a couple pictures of this guy and like icons of Wi-Fi and radio.
It's his stupid logo for his radio show or podcast or whatever.
Basically, this evidence board is he's got a radio show and he talks about things. So the idea is this radio, but nothing ever comes. It's the worst written and set up story that I've read in quite some time. And I keep saying this every week, but this is pretty bad. The idea of this, it's like a conspiracy theory show, but it's in a town that this guy has already kind of turned everybody, but we don't even know when you get the Handsy McGee, do you end up where you're doing all his bidding? Does it just kind of, nothing's ever explained. So the idea of this thing also, if he has a radio show, make his powers something to do with radio waves where he's broadcasting it out and he's messing with their minds. It's not that. It's not that. And you end up where the guy at the motel's like, yeah, we got a radio station. Pretty cool. But it's not like if Wolverine listens to the radio program, it's going to mess him up or anything. He has to, this guy like puts his fingers on you, gets handsy, it makes you part of your fan. And then he's like part of him is in you in a non-sexy way. I don't even know how to explain it.
Yeah, it's basically that. Yeah.
Everything is, he has a radio station. That's all you need to know because he's there. And then they go to the radio station. That's it. Because then Wolverine is there and the police show up. And at one point, even if this guy had any freaking writing skill, and if you like his other thing, whatever, it might be good, but this is garbage. Go Roadhouse with this shit. Go with the idea where he's like this big falutin guy, and what it all comes down to, because we're not going to spend too much time on this. It's not like this is power fantasy or anything. You end up where the whole play is this guy is mad because when Krakoa opened, all of the mutants left town, which we didn't think there were mutants, but then they left town and there was less people in town. That's all it was. He's not a fan of like the Thanos theory of having less people. He ends up that's all they're mad about.
Why were there so many mutants in this town?
I don't know. And then he's one, but he didn't lead. But also this guy
he is one. He's got like weird powers.
So why couldn't it be that he thought that he wouldn't be accepted?
And what happened to X-Men knowing where all the mutants are? Like they use Cerebro to figure that out. And
through that. And
they know this town was harboring a bunch of muties?
What's this asshole guy? All the mutants left but him and this other guy.
Who's the cop guy with that weird face? The cop guy driving the car, like with that gremlin face? What is that?
I have no clue. I think that guy is Art. Bad Art is what his name is. So you end up with these cops. But again, the basic premise of this book is we had a town, pretty cool town, and then Krakoa opened and these mutants left. Well, you don't like the mutants. It seems like they were what do you care? Holy God. So he ends up where I guess they had to close down the Walmart. There wasn't enough people to work there or something. There were so many mutants. It doesn't seem possible. But you end up where the police come, shoot Wolverine, start loading him.
Just annihilate him. Yeah, he's dead.
And they take this guy, this Mason, and they get him and like, the routine. Then that guy, I think that guy, that's supposed to be he's one of the handsy guys, but it looks more like a mutant, like iguana.
Yeah, iguana.
Yeah, I think he's just infected because at one point, the one guy tells Logan, because then he's got to go and get this Mason out. But the one guy, I guess it's the guy who's running the motel, says, this bad guy inoculates people. So he's just making.
And nobody's batting an eye that there's just monstrosities dead on the street too, like disgusting finger people.
Well, it's because all the mutants that were the trash people, they left. I'm telling you.
It's just crazy. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the idea that you're like, I'm so mad that these mutants left town that I'm just going to make everybody into monstrosities. I don't get it. I don't get it. Now, the idea of making a town that's hateful, and Logan rolls into town, and you could have played with the timing where they're almost like the people who, the Vietnam, their soldiers still fighting the war 10 years later because they never heard it was gone. You could have had this town being like a Twilight Zone type thing where they're just upset and this guy has been talking his bullshit or whatever. But in the meantime, I don't get what any of this has to do with anything. Krakoa's done. It's just every step of the way, it's just an eye roll.
It must have come out right after the Krakoa stuff ended.
Yeah, it must have just, I don't know. I don't know. So
I don't either.
Wolverine then gets up after being demolished. Even then, he's just laying bloody carcass.
Nobody drags him off or takes him to the coroner.
And yet
or
they know
something.
who he is. And then later you get this bad guy who says, hey, I have some people who would like, to cut you up and things like that. But in the meantime, Logan's like, let's ride. And then he gets this guy and he's like, we're going to go and get this guy from the radio station, the Beacon. I think that this guy played too much Fallout. He's just like that stupid radio.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's like, gets the thing from this guy who was running the motel. And he says, you got nerve coming back here after what your people did to that place. And like, what are you talking about, bub? This was a nice, quiet town, busy and happy. Then your professor had to go and stir the pot with that Krakoa business. People got to talking. We thought it was okay because there was no mutants. But then we found out there were. And they left. That's it. That's the whole premise. I'm like, I want Wolverine to go, and? Like, that's it? He's like, yeah, the nerve of you guys. They left. Like, okay. Did they come back? Now that Krakoa... No. And he's like, oh, well. And he's like, they bled this damn place dry. Did they? They left. That's not bleeding it dry. That's leaving. He said, they bled this damn place dry. It hollowed out, and it's all your Krakoa's fault. Wolverine's probably like, that Krakoa is such bullshit. I don't like it either. But yeah, and then all of a sudden they're being followed by a car who starts shooting at them. They crash their car, and this guy's almost going to get run over, right? And then Wolverine does something to make the car just leap completely over this guy.
Is he the Hulk now? This guy?
It makes no sense. And then also he says, miss me. I'm like, did we see these guys? Are these the cops? I don't even know.
This is when the art takes a turn.
Yeah. Oh, it's so bad. And then, yeah. Oh, my God. When you get the guy and the car leaps over, we leap into bad art land because it is awful.
Yeah, like Logan's just floating around in smoke and stuff.
Yeah, oh, my God.
Perspective's
it's
all
so
whack.
bad. And now the people with their fingers now become stretchy
They're just flesh monsters, like gross, disgusting flesh monsters.
Here's my tip. If you have anything that you're going to consider body horror, you have to kind of make it a little better art than this.
It's just rib cages and arms.
Yeah,
it's disgusting.
It's just nothing.
Yeah.
And then he's like, hey, he's inoculating people. This Wolverine, as he's just slicing and dicing through these guys, which, by the way, at the end, when the big guy is taken down, the people who were infected, they're okay then. So Wolverine just killed them a little too soon.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the guy's like, yeah. It's to protect us against the mutation. Where is anybody saying, I don't like being Handsy McGee? I don't like being this, but they don't seem to know. But you get to this damn radio station, and this is where this guy that he kind of hooked up with earlier is, because he worked at the station, and this bad guy who I still don't even know. I'm like desperately trying to find somebody. It's so just generic that you don't even care about this bad guy. But yeah, he ends up where is it Groom or no? That's
I don't know.
I'm telling you, I have no idea. And he has a bunch of these guys with him. You don't know why, how. You don't know his powers. The one guy said, and then he says at one point, "Hey, they're going to come back tomorrow to interview this Mason guy. So don't make any marks." But then he turns him into a monstrosity. I'm like, what are you talking about? Who's coming in to talk to him? The police were already shooting everybody. Like, we know that the whole town's messed up, but Jesus, it just doesn't make sense. So Wolverine comes in. One of the best is when this Mason guy lovingly hugs Wolverine.
I was about to say that it's so awkward. He's hugging him. It's crazy.
Because then the guy's like, I'm going to go take people down with a wrench.
And then
Wolverine
the monstrosity above him has like the stuff growing out of his neck and his rib cage. It's just disgusting.
So then Wolverine's like, oh, and everything keeps being, you mean the guy's here? All right, let's go get him. And then he's just got to go fight through awful art.
Just conking heads together, and I don't know what is going on here.
And just bad. And once you get to this bad guy, he looks horrendous. Then there's a janitor that I swore was the guy from the motel. And then there's like supposedly like, oh my God, look at all the hordes of these people, but it's a joke. Wolverine, I love when he's running with the guy. He's got the guy over his shoulder and then gives like a flying punch at this other guy. It's some of the worst art I've seen, and it just keeps getting worse and worse.
He's one time he grabs the guy by the ankles and he's swinging. He's swinging him around.
These guys
he's using his head as the battering ram or something.
And these guys are like getting hit and they're flying straight up in the air.
This is going to hurt in the morning, it says.
Yeah, that's what he says. It's like one of those where you'll see where the joke would be in like an action movie where I throw a rock at a guy and it explodes. That's what it reminds me of. All these people are just getting the crap. Look at the lady who's there. There was a lady running like, she looks like a Muppet.
Look at her mouth.
Yeah, I'm saying she looks like a Muppet.
It's an abyss to hell. It's like just a disgusting, open, gaping
boobs,
maw.
Got the boobs. Then Wolverine,
I was going to say there aren't any women in this town, but I guess there are.
No, there's Muppet lady there. And then Wolverine, at one point, because he's got like a checkered shirt, I swear to God, he had like a Darth Vader keypad going because he's got blood, but the blood looks ridiculous. He goes into this
Look at his little skinny legs he's got.
Yeah, look at him. He's got his skinny jeans on. He's like, look at me. Look at me and my skinny jeans. And he busts into this room. The guy grabs him, and then it's the combo of this bad guy and this other guy that gave him the loving hug, his buddy Mason.
Yeah.
And they start fighting, and then Wolverine for a second goes, can't you fight this out? You know, fight to control. The guy goes, I am, but then nothing comes from that. But then the guy kind of gets sliced in half, but that doesn't do anything. He comes out of that. Like, what is happening?
There's chainsaws going.
Oh my God! This could have been like a cool fight, but it just gets worse and worse. And then this Mason guy, he's able to break free, and then suddenly something happens. You're like, what? But it's that he's a mutant as well, and he becomes like a bright light which somehow takes down the other bad guy for no reason because we don't know what this means. I thought maybe it just gives you a good suntan, but somehow light affects this guy who's also sliced in half and looks like shit. Then he looks like a centipede, and then he dies. And then he's like, man, because Wolverine runs him through classic. I mean, if you're going to do it, you run it right through under the chin, which he does, right? And then the Mason goes, did we really have to do that?
Yes, we had to do it.
Yeah, and Wolverine goes, yeah.
And everybody else in this town, too. Let's just take care of all of them.
Yeah, I love the idea that in this town, like, the rest of the people then get cured by just having what appears to be spray foam insulation drip
So it's
off
fine
of
that their neck at some point was turned around backwards, facing the other direction?
Yeah. That doesn't do anything. Or having fingers in their brains, right?
Yeah.
So the best thing is when Logan leaves, because this town was pissed off because a bunch of mutants left for Krakoa. So they ended up in the beginning, you have the sign where it's population, it was this, and it's half. Wolverine's now killed 3/4 of who was remaining. There's like 10 people left in town. And he's like, see you later, bub. Now they're really mad. And now they don't, the one thing though, even the guy who didn't seem to be affected for some reason, the guy running the motel, he really liked that radio show. He loved it. He said it's the only thing good. There ain't no radio show now. That guy's dead. So what are they going to do?
He likes the conspiracy theories. What do you want, you know?
Yeah, it was great, too, was when that Mason guy, because he used to work at the radio station, or did, and he had a show, and he's like, yeah, I had my cool show. He's probably, like, playing all the hits. You know, this is, whatever the call signs would be. But now, and then it almost is like the evil plan was that this guy's like, and then he started taking over that shift and that shift. Then suddenly, he was doing all the recording. I'm like, really? Like
still, your audience is what, a couple thousand people. It's like, dude, you ever heard of the internet, man? Come on.
Really? No, they haven't. They didn't even know Krakoa went down. And again, you have the whole play of Krakoa, and I'm thinking, oh shit, what it is that, yeah, we got those drugs and they were poison, and half the people in the town died. No, they was just mutants that left. But you don't want mutants in town anyway, so you would have run them out.
This backwards hick town would have ran them out so fast.
God, even then, at the end, this Mason guy, Wolverine, for some reason now wants to team up with this guy. Like Deadpool, he gets pissed at every time. But this guy, Sonny Boy Johnson, he ends up where he's like, hey, you coming with me, bub? And he's like, listen, that hug was fully platonic. I didn't mean it as any advance there, Logan. I kind of, I have a wife and kids. Though when you do that, too, the guy has the most ridiculous looking ripped shirt. It reminds me of when I went to a Robert Plant concert back in the 80s, late 80s, me and my buddy Herb, and he got this really cool knockoff tour shirt in the subway, in the Philadelphia subway. By the end of the concert, the shit was falling apart. It almost like it was melting, just like that shirt. It was so funny. And he's like, hey, Krakoa, this is Logan. Krakoa, it wasn't all about that, because he says, there's going to be a whole heap of shit here shortly. You might not want to wade through people looking for me, people looking for you. What? Why? This town seems to be so separated from anything. Nobody's looking for shit. There's just not going to be anybody in town. Also, Logan's motorcycle just shows up out of nowhere.
It seems like a town that wouldn't even be on the power grid. Like, you'd have to just be like solar power or windmill, wind turbines or something.
Idea of this, it should have been one of those, like, all of a sudden it was like The Village, where they were like, the idea Wolverine's like, oh man, they're upset about Krakoa. No, they're upset about the Dark Phoenix saga, which obviously Ruben and Jason wouldn't know about. But you end up where all this going on, and he's like, hey, Krakoa, it wasn't about that. I'm like, about what? But he says, so, you sure you don't want to come with? Like, you're not going back to Krakoa there. Where are you going? What is he, just going to sit on your bike? What are you, Easy Rider now? And he ends up says, no. My fight's here. What fight? What fight?
I don't know. Can you imagine the red tape associated with cleaning up this place? Like, it would just be...
I'm telling you, everybody's looking... I think the cops are dead.
Yeah.
Everybody that was in that radio station is dead. The guy's like, hey, there's like 5 women left and there's 2 dudes. I like my odds.
I like the odds, yeah.
Yeah, really. And he's like, also, I'm going to spin my platters that matter at the radio station. Next thing you know, he's like getting calls like, we want the conspiracy shit back. And he just starts making up stuff. But he says, my fight's here. I'm like, Really? Like, the idea that this guy writing it, he thinks that this issue is hitting so hard that it's like a badass moment. My fight's here, Logan. I can't come with you. So Logan says, you're not going to change their minds, you know. Who? These people, when they get, they have to be like, they seem to not remember, but they should. And also the one girl's like, I feel like shit. But the idea of changing minds, like what minds do you have to change? Really, I mean, what you had was a guy who was mutating everybody that didn't, I don't know. I think he just wanted his radio station to be popular.
And the worst insult to this guy, too, is Logan's like, you're going to need help. Here's a 5-pack of beer.
Yeah,
that'll
he
help
goes,
you
you're
out.
going to need help. And he goes in the saddlebag of this thing. And legit, this seems like it's somewhere in like Santa Fe, like it's in Nevada or it's in Arizona.
It's a desert for sure.
Yeah. So that beer, first off, generic. It just says beer.
It's 120 degrees.
It's skunked to shit. That guy is like, thanks a lot, asshole, and just throws it over his... Or he cracks one open and gets arrested for open container. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I also think it'd be cool, too, if like he gets like half a mile down the road and runs out of gas because he never got it.
Yeah, you never got gas. And then he's like, you know what I could use right now? A fucking beer.
He has
and
to do the walk of shame back to this guy to get gas.
Goes back to Sonny Boy Johnson. Grabs the beer. I like the guy looks at the beer like Logan hands it to him. So it's supposed to be like the surprise joke at the end. But the guy sees what it is. He then looks down at the beer he's holding as if he's shocked. Oh, what? And then he like looks, what is it? And then he looks up. Has that smile like at the end of the movie, like, yep, that's what Logan does. I'm like, this is so bad. It is legit one of those issues that if you want to just laugh at something, I'm not saying laugh with, I'm saying at, you could give it a go, but read it in the Infinity deal. It's bad.
Books like this that make me really despise Krakoa even more, that whole thing, because this exists because of that.
Right?
No,
yeah.
But it just makes it...
It also is the idea, I'm like, I hate to say the idea of, Infinity, like we were joking maybe with Ruben and Jason with the Astonishing X-Men. But this is the shit when I get tricked into reading, I'm like, okay, I see why people say the Infinity
It's a trick
bullshit.
For sure. Yeah.
And it's bullshit. Here's the thing, if you're going to release it later for $7, have the balls and just release it originally and have it try to fight its way. This is definitely that they say. We had it as an Infinity comic. We'll push the shit out for $7, and a few people, manship maybe, that they'll just be duped, and it'll be worth it because every bit of dupe money is extra money.
It's extra money, yeah. It's already paid for, so why not? Yeah.
But it's all a dupe. It's all a fucking dupe. This is awful. It is so bad. There's nothing good about it. Nothing. Except the cover, maybe. I do like that font too. I don't mind that. But
the art style. I'm thinking about it now. The art's going for like Saga, the Brian K. Vaughan, Fiona Staples thing. It kind of is going for that look, but that's so much better than this. Yeah, I don't know what this is.
Fiona Staples is rolling in her grave.
Yeah, I think they're trying to emulate that somehow.
I thought at one point that they were trying to do like, we'll just do it like a colorized version of The Walking Dead. Even then, I think
Walking Dead's way better than this.
Maybe what they're like, I'm gonna think the artist said, maybe I'll draw real shitty art because I don't care because it's an Infinity comic, and now it isn't, and we got duped. What would you give it?
1.
Yeah,
I'm not even low as it goes for me.
I'm not even joking. I would never give something a 0. It's printed.
Yeah.
And again, people could get mad. This wackadook.
It's an FU1, man. That's just terrible.
Here, and he could get mad. Oh, what are you guys writing? Oh, yeah. Thank God not this. Because I would be embarrassed. This is that bad. And I'm giving it a 1 as well. And we're being nice because a book deserves a 1 if it exists. That $7 might bring it down to a half.
It's the lowest you possibly can go without just being overly crazy.
Yeah, I used to give 1s. Yeah. There were times when I got
it's bad. There's no word for it.
Like this is again, and just to go with it though, no sort of things that people can say it's bad for any other reason. It's not even like, they did this or they're trying to do that and use that word that I hate and all that stuff. No, this is just straight up bad. Should be read so you can avoid ever doing something like this. It's that bad. I can't stress it enough. I can't stress it enough.
They should teach it in comic book creation classes. This is an example of what not to do,
That's
kids.
the best. They hand it out and they're reading it. They don't say it at first. They just hand it out like, okay, what do you think? And the one guy's like, I thought it was pretty good. All right, you're out. Your scholarship gone.
Yep.
Like, I gave you that because never do anything like this. At least give it the thing is, I don't feel like it's a low effort. It's just a bad effort.
It could have been trimmed back about 20 pages and it might have been better.
Should have been trimmed back 46. And it's only 44
just the
pages.
A cover with blank pages inside.
Come and give me a handshake or something, a glass of water. I would have in better shape. We're going to go to the next book, which is better. Still Wolverine, though. What are we doing all these Wolverines? And the cover's awesome.
That's all that Marvel's putting out. What are they supposed to do?
Yeah. And the idea,
cover is incredible.
Again, if you go and say, "Oh, well, the cover is so good."
That dinosaur is awesome.
It's so good. Yeah, and you have the symbiote suit, the black symbiote suit. You have Wolverine, classic Wolverine. So cool. And get this, you actually have just as good art in the issue because Kari Andrews is great. So this is really good. This, again, just to mention the idea, Kari Andrews, that Spider-Man Reign 2, oh my God, it was barely readable, but the art was incredible. I think that they might have said, listen, we need more of your art. I mean, his art is so damn good. And I'm glad that he teamed up in this with Mark Guggenheim, because while the story isn't going to blow people's minds, I can follow it enough to enjoy it. And I had fun with it, though. Peter's a little annoying because he won't get over the idea. We get it. You think Wolverine killed your parents. You're upset about it. You were told it before, but you didn't think it was. But the idea of every step of the way saying, I don't know why I'm doing this, because, well, just get moving. We don't need that as much. But it's written by Mark Guggenheim, and it is, what is it, issue number 3. Issue number 3. Written by Mark Guggenheim, art by Kari Andrews, colors by Bryant Reber, letters by VC's Travis Lanham. And going from that Savage Wolverine to this is so crazy how good the art is. And what they're doing is, it's obvious. Mark Guggenheim, again, it reminds me a lot of the Jonathan Hickman / Greg Capullo book where we had the Wolverine and he was, fighting dinosaurs and things like that, which you liked a lot more than some people because it was just kind of there to be fun and have some deals, but it wasn't the greatest. But this is almost like, hey, if you like that, we're going to have a little bit more coherent story. But really, it still ends up feeling like Mark Guggenheim's like, what else do you want to draw? But they set the story up to do that. By the end of this issue, we realize that they are teleporting Spider-Man and Wolverine around the world to just fight different villains and things like that. That's kind of the setup. It's fine. When you start out, Peter wakes up in the Savage Lands, and even when he wakes up and he's like, where the hell am I? Oh, shit, it's the Savage Land. It was really good, and he's bandaged up from getting sliced by Wolverine. Last issue, it looked like Wolverine killed him. So he gets up, and he's bandaged up, immediately gets attacked by a Tyrannosaurus
That's
Rex,
one of the
which
coolest
so
pages
great.
I've ever seen right there.
Yep. That should have been a cover as well.
It's incredible.
You know what I mean? It's even drawn like a cover. You have the space for everything that you would need, and it looks great. Peter in the black suit. You got the detailed webbing. Looks a lot like the McFarlane webbing we said before. And even the almost 3D perspective of this dinosaur going behind. It's so cool. And he's like, yep, I'm in the Savage Lands. The Void's getting eaten at this point, and he's trying to get his bearings. And then suddenly, as it looks like he's going to be in big trouble, Wolverine comes in on a Triceratops, my favorite dinosaur, and says, hey, spider's off the menu today, bub. And he ends up jumping and slicing the eye of this T-Rex, which then takes him down. There's a weird play where it kind of like, I guess it like had a heart attack or something. I don't know.
Doesn't he go in through the mouth or the eye and then come out through the mouth?
I don't know. It's a weird play. He kind of does. I guess that's what it is. I actually thought that he did because then he says, oof, that dino's going to need an eye patch. I'm like, no, he's going to need more because, it is.
His brain is gone.
Yeah, it's the play of instead of coming out the stomach like Hulk always does and things, he just opens the mouth and goes, hey, with all that slime and shit going.
No
but
blood, though.
Great.
I was surprised. But.
No, but he ends up saying, hey, and then Peter's like, hey, yourself. Because he even tries to, give him a hand. And you go through this again about the idea, hey, listen, you killed my parents. How dare you? You tried to run me through. And Wolverine just keeps saying, listen, bub, listen, Spider-Man, I told you before, I did some really bad shit, and I don't know if I did it or not, but I'm assuming I didn't because your parents were friends of mine, but I've killed friends before. Like, he never says, hey, I didn't do it. Like, he has no idea.
He's like, I may have done it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I told you I was mind controlled at that point. My mind was wiped, and I don't know. I was a bad dude, but I don't think I did. Or at least I hope I didn't. And Peter's like, but in the surveillance, you had a knife. And he's like, well, I could have been protecting them from somebody. Well, why would you have a knife? And he's like, well, I didn't really use my claws then. Like, they're playing in some continuity at the point, which is cool. And I said all along, I swear to God, we're going to see that Sabretooth was on the plane. And it always seems to be something like that.
Could be, yeah.
In the meantime, Peter just is mad. And I get it. And that's the thing. I actually like when Wolverine says, I get that you're mad. I'd be mad too. Like, I understand. I understand. And he says, Peter says, I don't know if I'll ever be able to get past this, Logan. I really don't. And Logan says, I wouldn't expect you to. So that's fine. They're kind of sitting. And even then, like, when art's good is when you're just sitting on a tree branch.
Oh, it's incredible.
And it looks great. It
looks like
so
Jurassic
good.
Park, like the first movie.
Yeah. It looks so good.
Yeah, it's great.
And they're talking and going back and forth with this, but they also say, we kind of need to work together. We got to get out of this. What do you think is going on? Like, let's try to figure some things out. And there's a couple little jokes and stuff, but Wolverine says, they brought us here for a reason. They fixed you up, refitted both of us for a reason. Peter says, what reason? And Logan says, come on, give me a hand. We'll find out together. And then suddenly start getting attacked again. And it looks great. I mean, even the arrows just look so good. And Wolverine's like slashing them out of the air. And they're like, we got to get the hell out of there. And at one point they even say, I have a place where we can go. We'll figure this out. Peter says, I know a place if we can get to it. And then Wolverine goes, what about your gut? And the joke is it a gut reaction, or do you trust your gut, or is he talking about slicing the gut? Peter says, jury's still out on whether or not I can trust it. And then Wolverine goes, okay, that was pretty good. It was pretty fun. So I actually thought there is kind of a mention of a thing later, but I thought it was going to be more of, I kind of like hanging out with you and not Deadpool. Deadpool just doesn't shut up. You have your quips.
I kind of like them together. Yeah.
It's pretty cool. And so the big play, though, then, is you have Peter say, I assume that Kraven is the one doing this and he wants a hunt. That's what he does. And then Wolverine goes, yeah, I kind of figured that. This is after they sat there trying to figure out what is going on. And Wolverine goes, yeah, I kind of thought that because, after I sliced you, I got in a fight with Kraven and Omega Red, and they knocked me out, and that's why we're here. I'm like, why didn't you say that?
I roll my eyes a little bit at this because I'm like, it's another Kraven story. I know we talk about this all the time, and even Omega Red, who's popped up in that other Wolverine stuff, too.
Yeah, remember he was there, and that was kind of the thing. You also have the Kraven stuff in the old. I mean, it's classic. But
it made up for it on the next page with this Dread Shadow dude. I don't know if that's a new character
he
or not.
Shows up, and it looks crazy. It's almost like
cool.
He's like a Colossus with a man bun, and he's huge.
He's got a cybernetic arm looking
Dread Shadow. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
But again, also has a lightsaber. He ends up where he's like, hey, bitches. And he comes in, and you have Wolverine and Spider. He one of yours now. I don't know who this is.
It's a cool new character.
Oh, yeah, he looks really cool. And then I like where he says to Spider-Man, your reckoning is at hand. He goes, thanks, I was just thinking I could use a good reckoning. This guy gets so angry. But he ends up where he's slicing through, the webbing, and Wolverine goes after him. But this guy's big. He definitely has like one of those like crazy Colossus arms and stuff there. But and Peter does the rip the webs out. So it looks great. It looks really, really good as they're trying to get away. And then Wolverine did mention that when he fought Kraven, he's like, I gave him a big bunch of claw to the face, and it looks like he ripped his eye out as well.
He's got a bandage
his eye
on.
bandaged up.
Yeah.
So you would think that it would hurt maybe part of his, his abilities here, where he's got a sniper rifle.
Well, he doesn't have to close his eye anymore to get the sight.
That's true. And then Wolverine just comes in, but that's the other thing is he probably didn't see Wolverine come because he has the thing in the sight, and Wolverine comes from the side, so it goes to slice and dice. And yeah, he's like, "Hey, Sergey, you got something, I need." And they start beating the crap, and he grabs his grenades. I'm like, "Is he dead?"
He's
Because
dead,
shit
yeah, he's
just
gotta
blow
be.
up. Yeah. So, and again, this is kind of a book for fun. I would
It's
assume.
out of continuity, I guess.
And I'm assuming that none of this is really happening, even though it does look like it is, because we even had that VR stuff before.
Mysterio or something.
Yeah. So Spider-Man gets out of that crazy explosion and then goes right back to, "I wonder if I should be working with the Wolverine." I'm like, you kind of got past this. Come on, let's go. But then he says, the finisher said that Logan was the one who killed my parents, but maybe he meant somebody like him. I'm like, I don't know why you're bringing this up.
The finisher. That sounds pretty sexy.
Yeah, really. He is. It's better than the maker. That sounds like, that's when you go too far and now you're saddled with a kid. And then all of a sudden it looks like the suit's like symbioting up a bit. It's dripping. I don't know. But in that, was that also where that thing is clicking? Because they have those armbands that
Yeah, what is that armband
thing? But that's later it teleports them. So
Oh, yeah.
I didn't notice them before, but you end up where again Wolverine's trying to get away from these guys. Peter, they're trying to get to this place. When they get to this one place, that's where everybody is anyway. It was a weird, like you ran away from, but they doubled back and they're there. And there's this crew that look pretty
Craven's
crazy.
still there too. So.
Yeah, he's still there. Now he's got his knife. Now he doesn't have to clever two knives. Actually, it looks really, really cool.
And then Dread Shadows, I guess he's like the big guy, but the other ones are like versions of him.
Yeah, they're versions of him. There's a couple of ladies.
They're all women, too.
I like when the one lady's like running away, the blonde's like just running, because they go to a place that was like an X-Men deal but once they left, some velociraptors came in. It gets a little hairy. Mm-hmm. At the end of exactly what's going on, but it looks great, and there's a lot of fighting. Peter wallops Craven, and then at the end, as it looks like all these people are going to get killed by velociraptors, which I don't know that this solves that problem for him, because Craven hits a button, and all of a sudden, Wolverine and Spider-Man, their bracelets, their wrist
Great
things,
Wall of China.
Yeah, they go, and then boom, all of a sudden they're in China, and it's Doc Ock, and
yeah,
it's crazy.
The fat version of him too.
It's classic version where he's there at the Great Wall, and he's like the Spider, the Wolverine. Welcome to China. I'm like, what the hell?
I kind of want to see what goes down there. That's gonna be funny.
Yeah. So it's a pretty cool play. But it gets, like I said, it gets really wacky at the end. But it is where I even mention, it's like they mention, oh, all of your villains are going to be fighting against you. I guess they're able to fight. Now, I don't know why Craven isn't a guy who would give up in my mind, but he ended up sending.
Well, you can make it crazy because they knew they were going to just teleport him out. So you want to make it as crazy as possible. And this is an ongoing too, right? It's not like limited.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm
pretty sure it is
because I'm having fun with it.
Yeah,
right?
This is the best Spider-Man book out.
And if I'm not mistaken, it looks like it's Anna that he has. Doc Ock has his, girlfriend.
Anna? I don't know. Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
It's kind of hard to tell because you only see the top part.
What you're saying is it's hard to tell if she's a little person. You don't want to be hateful. But, I mean, who else would it be? And they're in chat. It seems like it's her yelling. And I'm like, I don't know what he's doing. It's very odd, but he's there.
And also, it looks like Doc Ock might be native Asian as well.
Yeah, actually he does with that hair. Look at him. So you end up where it says next, Around the World with Spider-Man.
I'm all in on this, man. I like it.
It's pretty fun. It's so goofy, but you see, if you have great art, you have a couple story beats you can kind of follow and have some cool stuff that I'll enjoy things. Not like that Savage Wolverine. No. I just want to let people know that was bullcrap, that one. But what would you give this?
I'd give this 8.5, I think.
I'm an 8. Yeah, I'm an 8 out of 10.
Right.
I think it's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
That makes it a book of the week for me.
There you go.
8 over an 8 is book of the week.
Book of the week. R.I.P.
1 is not the deal.
Yeah, no. So 1 is not.
We shall see.
This is a good way to do a comic book. This is a good example of how to do it.
And there's so many of these Wolverine team-ups and Wolverine Spider-Man, Wolverine Deadpool, but I like this one. I like the art, and I think the story's kind of fun.
No deep dive needed. No research needed. No Wikipedia needed to enjoy this.
Yeah, you don't need to.
You don't need to talk about it for an hour and a half.
No, it's not power fantasy. So with that, though, hopefully we'll be going off to talk to Gray with a couple books, because a couple of the things that me and him are talking about have come out, like Incredible Hulk and also the Ultimate Spider-Man, which, unfortunately, I guess, is coming to an end. But I think that's just going to be an end of what Hickman's doing, and then it'll continue. He doesn't like staying on things for too long.
Well, I got him doing other stuff. So
yeah, he gets bored.
Doing some X-Men stuff.
Yeah. So that's cool. So hopefully we'll be doing that. If not, I'll be back to say goodbye in a minute, but I hope that Gray will be with me. And we are going to continue with Gray. What up, Gray?
What up, Jim? Are you Genki?
I'm so Genki. I end up when I end, I still haven't learned to just not say anything. So at the end of the last segment with Matt, I said that I always end up, because me and Matt record Monday, and I even asked you if you were record at that point, and I'll just be like, yeah, me and Gray are going to do this. I'm like, yeah, I better mention that maybe we won't, because I haven't talked to you, but lo and behold, here we are. Talking the two books I said we would talk about, Ultimate Spider-Man and Hulk. Me and you had been doing the thing. I didn't realize that came out. It's not a book that I'm that interested in.
It's weird, Jim. Like, no one's talking about it that I've heard. It's a shame, because we were looking forward to it, weren't we?
Yeah. And it was weird, though.
Good old Tony Fleece.
Yeah, Tony Fleece.
Don't get your style on him.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, that book just seems like it just doesn't have any oomph to it.
It doesn't.
It doesn't have the sizzle, as they used to say.
It doesn't have the old 2-in-1 with the thing back in the day.
I thought you were getting sexy with me. Like, you would come in, hey, hello, love, you want the 2-in-1? I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm not into that. And I
2 for 1 and 3 if you're
lucky.
lucky.
You just end up, you have, 3 in the other. This is the stuff that gets me in trouble now, because me and you start talking, we start goofing off. Next thing you know, there's people commenting that they didn't come to hear us yap. I love the idea. I didn't come to hear you talk. I came to hear you talk.
Don't worry, someone will put a timestamp in. Probably Josh, you were overlooking.
Timestamp right in your ass is where I'm going to timestamp that thing. Here we go. We'll get to the books now. We've actually wasted 1 minute and 46 seconds of people's lives, and I feel so bad about that. But we're going to start off
but Jim,
with
we're having a good time.
Oh, what's that?
We're having a good time, though, aren't we?
Well, now you got me down the rabbit hole. I told
no
this guy, this one guy was arguing, and I ended up saying to the guy, listen, if you expect us to do this sort of thing each week with these books how bad they are at points, you got to at least let us have a little bit of fun. Plus, I always said, when you have a podcast or a video or whatever, anybody can read off a script. Anybody can do, whatever. You have to have some bit, and sometimes that turns people off. Maybe they don't like us. That's happened a lot in my life. They don't like us
because we're not AI. We're not doing it through Chat GPT.
And here's the thing, too, is if you go other places, I mean, you're not going to get talk about pooping and food and Japanese things. See? Because you have to have your thing. I always said you have to have your thing. Our thing seems to be not liking these books. But I don't know. This is going to be a book that I think people are either going to love or not hate.
We quite enjoyed the last one.
A little bit less. Yeah, it's Ultimate Spider-Man number 19. And I will try to tell people in an explanation right before I give you the credits, is in my mind, the idea of this is if you're just reading the book, if you get it, it's on your pull list, you get it at the comic shop, you come home and read it. I think that a lot of times an issue like this, you'll be satisfied with it. You'll say, oh my God, because there's one huge thing that happens that we'll get to in a second.
Yeah.
And I think that that's going to be enough for people to say, oh my God, that was awesome. This is so cool. Oh my God, what's going to happen? But the idea is that's like the first 2 pages. And then the rest of the issue does not progress the plot. And that's what we're here to talk about.
Well, Jim, look at the cover. Just to interrupt, look at the cover. It looks amazing. We've got Spidey fighting Kingpin, Mr. Negative in the background. We've got some of the goons there wearing crazy Japanese masks. It looks awesome. That doesn't happen in here. There's no Spidey fighting anybody.
That is not in there. He's fighting boredom, I think.
He's fighting. He is.
Actually, he's fighting with Mary Jane a bit. Which is odd. And I actually started laughing. I'm telling you,
signs.
I thought that by the end of this, it was going to be, I can't take this anymore. You're putting our family in danger, including my mom and sister. I need to be separated. I was like, that didn't happen.
They're going to lose their minds, Jim.
Here's the problem, though, and we'll say at the end. Mary Jane actually says, listen, you have us, everything you've said, you end up, making me do things, and I never question you, but I need to know everything. I'm like, well, what do you need to know? Because I think that reading it, we kind of know everything. Not much else to tell. What are you going to say? Oh, by the way, Gwen's Mysterio, and Mysterio,
and so is Wesley, and so is everybody else. By the sound of it, Robert, I've forgotten who isn't Mysterio. Jim? That's a question.
Everybody is. It's Mysterio is. So you end up with all this going on. It's like at the end, you leave with, "Hey, I need to know everything." Thank God we have a month skip each issue because I was thinking, oh my God, if this was a regular thing, I think that Hickman's smart enough that when we get to the next issue, you may even start with, so how are you doing after I told you everything? And Mary Jane, well, I'm still processing it. You could do it that way, because if we go to the next issue, that's just Peter talking to her about everything we already know.
Well, last issue ended on a huge cliffhanger, didn't it? It was a massive one with Richard and Felicia. Like, oh my God, Felicia's betrayed me.
Yeah, and we thought Richard's in big trouble. What's going to happen? What about the Venom suit? All that stuff. So we do see that. But it is Amazing Spider-Man, or Ultimate Spider-Man, number 19, written by Jonathan Hickman, art by Marco Cicchetto, colors by Matthew Wilson, letters by VC's Corey Petit. And just as a shout out, because you did say it is Marco Cicchetto and Matthew Wilson on the cover, which is really, really cool. Again, I kind of need my action in the book, not just on the cover. And in a book that we have criticized, the main criticism will be, you don't get to see a lot of Spider-Man action. We haven't. We've gotten it more recently, but I've said it. I'll say it again. I think that it would have been better served when we went for a whole year and a half, pretty much, of Peter being Spider-Man and see him fight like two people, including Mr. Negative at one point in a bank was the biggest one, but also ended up fighting Kingpin for a bit, ended up fighting a couple things, but
that
not
feels
much.
Like years ago, doesn't it, Jim?
Right? There were like three big... In a whole year and a half to then say, oh, look at Peter, he's a great Spider-Man. We never saw any learning curve.
We didn't.
And the idea of this was, hey, this is a Peter who became Spider-Man later in life, in his 30s. What would be the difference? Well, right now, there really isn't. I mean, there really never was, because we never saw him learning to be Spider-Man.
No.
It became at one point too much Ben, too much J. Jonah, too much Harry, too much, like, that was one of Matt's biggest thing. He's like, I didn't realize this was just a Green Goblin book. But again,
right?
I do.
Well, to be fair to
Sus
Gabe, shout him out, because he doesn't listen, I know that. But that's like Sus Gabe's the biggest complaint. Every Ultimate Spider-Man review is like, there's not enough or even any Spider-Man in it.
Yeah. And this one, he's there, but you're not really doing
He's
much
very briefly.
again.
He's talking to Mole Man. That's about it. Yeah. Talking.
Yeah, talking. So it's a big cliffhanger. Oh my God. You tell us, what was the cliffhanger?
The cliffhanger in this issue, or the last issue, in this issue, the big cliffhanger is, Peter and MJ got to split up. Oh my God. Stop the press, Jim.
I meant last issue's cliffhanger. I'm having problems. I can't breathe.
So is Mrs. Wakizashi. She's coughing her guts up in the background.
I think something threw down my throat. I think I'm like the old lady who swallowed a fly.
So last issue, the last we saw was like poor Richard in the black Spider-Man suit was like lulled into a trap with Kingpin by young Felicia, beautiful
by Felicia, who said, which we get a read.
Jim, he fell for the hot girl. It's the oldest trick in the book.
It's in my nature. In the meantime, Kingpin basically says you're gonna sell out all your buddies. He doesn't know who Richard is, doesn't know his connection with Peter or anything like that. He just ends up singing. There is the play where it seems as if it's like the comms with Batman. I remember when Bendis came over to DC.
You're right there, Jim. You just eating a raw chili. Or what?
I'm having problems. But Bendis was really big on the joke of Batman talking in the comms, but people thinking he was talking to them.
Right,
and that's what happens a couple times in this, because you end up having Richard talk to the suit, but he's talking out loud. There's a part with Mary Jane, but he says at one point where you have Kingpin, you have Mole Man, Mr. Negative, they're all there, and he ended up saying, I'm scared, I don't know what to do. And the suit says, I'll take care of it. You want me to?
Do you want me to take over Richard? That's cool that he asked his consent first. Do you want me to? And he's like, yes. Close your eyes, son. Don't open them till it's over.
This is the deal.
This is the best thing in the book.
Yeah, this page is what people will be like, oh my God, this is awesome. This issue's awesome because we get to see full Venom. And it's
Ultimate
incredible.
Venom, Jim. It
like
looks
when
amazing.
you see Ultimate Venom here, you realize that Richard, and Peter says later, I want Richard to sleep in the cut. Like, he must know. I don't even think that he's even seen it like this. Richard's in no danger. Everybody around him might be.
It's like Arnie in Terminator 2. He will die protecting John Connor. This is it. He knows the suit will protect Richard no matter what.
I know. I have to go. I'm having problems
An
today.
incredible action scene, Jim, where we see this could sound a bit sus, but we see incredible Venom tentacles going all over the place.
Yeah,
it's like a Japanese anime.
It is. There's tentacles going. Now I got everything set. Oh, that was a problem.
You okay?
But yeah, even at the point where you see the Venom suit, now it's going. Now Richard still is kind of talking within, but the idea, like, it looks like it's going to eat Felicia. It looks like it's going to kill her dad. Everybody runs. They basically start yelling, we can't do anything about this. We got to get the boss out of here. You see at one point, Bullseye just gets grabbed. I don't know what happens with him. But
I thought it was a goner. Did you? I thought it was gone.
Oh, and the way that this plays out, it is the thing where at the end of last issue, I said, what's going to suck is we have this month jump unless, I remember I said, Hickman may do the idea of, okay, that was right before it turned midnight into July, so maybe we'll play that. But what he did was...
cliffhangers don't really work, do they? You've got to do it like this with like a flash forward and a flashback. It's
because
weird.
You have a flashback, which I feel like it's cheating. Because even a book like me and Jason really like the Ultimate X-Men.
Yeah.
And we get ripped off of a lot of scenes in that book because they don't flash back. You go forward and you're like, oh my God, I can't wait. Oh yeah, we get there and it's 2 weeks later and they barely mention it. But in this book, he kind of cheats, but it works. You end up seeing this. But it also makes me think, yeah, I don't like this month jump thing. It's one of the worst.
I don't either.
Two things that I think are the detriment. And they go together. You have the month thing because you want to build the tension of the Maker coming back. Lo and behold, I don't think anybody cares about the Maker.
2 years.
So you know what I'm saying? The idea where we see, 3 months, 4 months, I'm like, just get to it. It feels like, now you wouldn't get this, but it's south of the border. It's the roadside deal. I think it's in South Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. But when you're from the East Coast and you're driving to Florida to go to Disney, you start seeing these signs for this damn place, south of the border, 250 miles. You're like, oh my God. And then, oh my God. And then you get there. You get to south of the border. I'm like, this place is a dump. I remember when I went in, people might disagree. I went in there, I swear to God, I said to my dad, and I was a young kid, and I said to my dad, I feel like I need to take a shower now. You could buy fireworks and shit. It was awful, but it reminds me of that. But yet, I was excited about that as a kid, not this. Because most people I've found, especially with this book, they got into it not at the beginning. And I'm not saying issue number 1 of this, because people heard, oh my God, Peter and Mary Jane, couple, family. Then yes, they did jump in with the first issue of Ultimate Spider-Man. The problem is there was mini-series setting this up with the Maker before that I don't think even half of the people reading the Ultimate stuff even read.
No, they didn't.
And I'll tell you right now, that shit was a slog at points.
You shouldn't have to, Jim, should you? You shouldn't have to do that.
That's what I'm saying. And that's the Maker stuff. So when you end up where it's like this month jump each time, and then you have 4 more months till the Maker, I think half the people don't even care.
I got bored. I don't care about the Maker anymore. I want some, Spidey action. That's what I want.
Recently, we find out that when the Maker does show, that's the end for Hickman. He's leaving. And I think then the hype is gone. And it looks like there's a possibility you get Dennis Camp on it. We have that.
God,
you're going to hear me talk about this.
Everything.
Oh, my God. The guy's terrible. So you end up where the big point is, oh, my God, Richard, the Venom. It's more the Venom symbiote suit than and I'll say the black suit. But it's more that than Richard. But Richard ends up where he says he's sorry to Felicia.
Yeah, he's saying sorry to Felicia. Yeah.
We find out that Felicia is being pushed aside by Kingpin. They used her. They ended up saying. He
Yeah,
says,
of course,
hey,
to
she
trap
didn't
Richard.
really know.
But they wanted to get Spider-Man, didn't they? That was the whole point here. It's like, we wanted Spider-Man, but we got Richard. We got, but they don't know it's his son, do they? I don't think so.
No. They have no idea who he is.
No.
Now, in that, you have a couple of people who do, one of them being Mole Man. And then you have Mr. Negative who says, listen, it's funny. There's Mole Man and there's a mole. And it's Mole Man, kind of. So he's like, hey, I can get in everybody's minds to see who is the one screwing around with things and whatnot. And they wouldn't allow that. And Kingpin says, and there's that play. You think that you could control the will of me? And he's like, well, I am better now. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like a little hint of things that happened in the past. But it also, this scene to me is there to basically show you, hey, villains don't normally get along. It's always their downfall of any team like this, Legion of Doom.
Yeah, they're always trying to outdo each other. Yeah,
they're always going to be mad. They're not in it. They're always in it for themselves. They're bad guys. So, or girls, but they're there
bad
for
boys,
themselves. So, yeah. So when all this is happening, though, you're just kind of talking. And by the end, what we get is the big, I mean, it's a crazy, forward progress of plot. Get this. Kingpin wants to kill them. That's what it ends with. The idea of, what are we going to do when you get them? What I'm going to do is I'm going to kill them. I'm like, okay, well, I wouldn't have thought anything different. Also, they're wondering where the hell
Jim.
Kraven is. Where's Kraven? Well, Kraven's dead. And Mole Man knows exactly what happened.
He knows, but he's not telling. And is it making Mr. Negative thinks like, wait a minute, there's a mole within here, not just Mole Man. Like he thinks it's the mole.
Yeah,
he's
he knows
like,
somebody
and he's
knows
talking about
more.
Mysterio's too, isn't he? Mysterio.
Oh, yeah, and Wesley's there. He's a Mysterio. So you get some plays. You're like, oh, cool. But in the meantime, you don't really get much progress except that Kingpin's going to kill everybody. I know. Also, when you go to Black Cat, when you go to Black Cat, he has like that nose thing. But I thought it was that like everything like snot was running out. It disgusted me.
What the hell is that? I thought so too. Is he drooling, Jim, as well?
Well, he is drooling. He's got a lot of like crazy stitches.
Is he okay?
No, he's not. He got thrown off a building by Harry. Right? Harry threw him off that building, so he's fucked up. But in the meantime, all this is going on, and you do end up where Harry and Gwen, they're listening in, but then we go and it's a weird cut then.
Harry is Goblin, and Gwen is Mysterio.
So they're like, thank you, Mr. Wesley, because he's Mysterio. That's what Gwen says of the idea and says, he's going to kill everyone, then he's going to kill Spider-Man, then he's going to kill Mysterio, then the Goblin, all that. But then we just go boom, and I was like, what's going on? It says later, we see that run-down apartment now. Peter's apartment is just like
abandoned apartment.
Oh, it's the worst.
It looks like a right mess, doesn't it? Can you smell it, Jim? I think I can.
I can, because it looks like my house. I can smell it very easily. Why do you think I ended up gagging a couple of minutes ago? But we end up seeing Mole Man and his mole lights. They come through the wall. And I thought that this whole thing, I swear to God, I thought that it was a setup, that I thought that Harry and Gwen were watching. And then when somebody shows up at the apartment, they were going to blow it up. I was like, oh God, like that's crazy. But it is the alarm thing. And there's Peter, who's there.
Finally, in a Spider-Man costume.
The funny thing is he then says, hey, listen, I'm amongst all these webs, but that's just because nobody's been here. Like, there's so many webs. What is he doing? So he ends up going down and they have just a long conversation of basically, hey, what are you doing here? Oh, I came to see, and tell you and warn you that there's trouble. Oh, trouble. We know this.
And he's asking, like, why did you help us in the jungle? When it was down, the Savage Lands with Harry, with Kingpin. Sorry, not Kingpin, with Kraven.
That's kind of the stuff that I do.
Yeah.
That's because they're bad guys. He said, I didn't sell you out. And you have to reiterate. I think that this scene basically is to reiterate that Mole Man knows that he's Peter Parker. So that's crazy.
Mole Man knows, Jim. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, really. And Mole Man says, I kind of need you because I need you guys to kind of kill everybody. I don't like these guys. I'm involved with some people here, Kingpin and all them. They're worse than me. And a lot of times Mole Man's just kind of like, hey, I just want to stay underground and stuff and whatnot. It gets a little
upset. Hang out with his mole mates.
Yeah. So and Peter says, I don't cross that line. I won't kill anybody. And he says, well, what about your friends? Because we know Harry will. And he says, I think that you guys might have changed after you got tortured. Gwen. I saw that from Kraven. And then just says, hey, I kind of need you to help. But by the way, they're going to come and there's no way you're going to be safe. Peter says, oh, when we come back here, what am I going to do about that hole in the wall you made? Which he says, Peter then mentions, it's kind of a cool power. He can burrow out of any sort of wall or whatever. He doesn't have to be there, because he says, how are you coming in this thing? We're like up on the 50th floor.
Yeah,
like
right. He thought he could only come from underground.
Power. Yeah, he said that's
interesting.
My power. So,
but even like one point, Peter as Spidey says, I think you should leave. He tells him to go, doesn't he? He's like, he's not interested in.
And he says, the offer stands, I can help you, because Mole Man says, you're not coming back here. You think that your family is ever going to be safe? They're not.
No chance.
You have the weird play, too, because they did put in, and I guess that's what Peter was doing, is he was turning off. The alarm goes off. He turns it off. But I was under the assumption that they did put those protocols in from Ock, that it was going to be more like lasers and shit like that, not like this, like they had an Animal Man. Actually, remember when they rigged the house and then it went nuts with Grant Morrison's Animal Man? That's how I thought. I didn't just think it was just going to have a woo woo woo. I'm like, that's not that much of a protection. But he says you're not going to be safe ever. Don't even think of coming back, and then leaves. And then we go back then to see that Richard tries to sneak in, black suit. He gets webbed to the wall. And Mary Jane basically says, I'm going to beat the living shit out of you. I'm like, holy moly. And she's all fired up. Peter's kind of just sitting there like slinking in the corner. But when they go off, then they are at Mary Jane's parents', her mom's house with her sister. I said way back that I think that who's going to die is Mary Jane's sister. And I still stick with that. And I think it's going to be played out that it's going to look like Mary Jane died and it's going to be the sister. But you end up where the mom's like, hey, there's some trouble here. I hope that you're not putting us in danger and your sister is obsessed with things like that. And then they go off to talk about, and this is where I thought, and there is a point, when Mary Jane legit says, hey, I'm pissed off. He's getting the Spidey sense of, and I thought it was.
I've reached my limit. I've had enough.
Yeah, I thought she was going to say, I'm packing up the stuff and I
doing,
need time
Peter?
on my own. I'm going. People would lose their mind, but it's funny. But she says, there's too many problems here. And Peter, she has a point. Peter says, Richard's fine. He's in that suit. Holy moly. And we know that's true. We've seen it. But she goes, what about me and May and my mom and whatever? Well, what about us? And he's like, we'll see what goes on. The thing that I want to know is, what about May? My favorite character in the book. She's been in like 5 panels in a year. Like, I really thought the idea of, oh my God, it seems that what they could do in Amazing Spider-Man, legit, is just say one page, hey, by the way, Mary Jane and Peter are married, they have kids. You don't really have to show them. That's what this book has really frustrated me with people saying, this is so good, this is what we always wanted. Is it? Because we're not getting anything of it. Mary Jane here says, hey, I need to know more. That's it. That's nothing. I need to see May. We barely ever
remember
see
like
her.
How long ago was it when we saw like May and Peter as Spider-Man swinging through
when
the,
we saw
the
that,
street,
I think that was
street?
the second issue.
I think it was.
And I thought, oh my God, what is he doing? It was so great. She had that made up
issue
costume
19 now. Oh my God.
And what have we seen? Her kind of hanging at one point with the Christmas New Year's party. She kind of was like hanging there with a couple lines. You had that birthday party, but what have we done with her? Nothing. And again, the idea of in concept, the family and Mary Jane, but are we really getting anything from it? In my mind, we're not. But it's also the idea of it what little we get takes up the space of where we don't get Spider-Man. Then in this, we don't get much of anything except that big Venom thing at the beginning.
That's the best thing again in the issue.
And I'm not saying it's bad, but
near the end, we got MG, saying like, okay, I know that you've answered every question I've had, but then she goes, but I need to know everything. It's like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense, So he's answered every question he's ever asked, and that was just saying like, I want to know more. I want to know everything. About what? About everything ever?
And I like when he says, are you sure, MJ? Because some of the Harry and Gwen stuff is what?
Is what?
Because you're going to say, oh, Gwen's a Mysterio. And half the time I think Mary Jane's going to say, what the hell's that?
What's a Mysterio?
Yeah. Oh, she's mysterious? No, she's a Mysterio.
So surely
what is that?
He can't tell her everything. Does she know that Harry's Goblin?
Yeah, I think
I don't even remember.
The big thing is Harry died, we thought. But it's what is she going to tell him or her? I don't think there's that much else.
It's a weird ending. It's confusing.
Now, it could be, hey, listen, there's the secret, thing running, this cabal, the Maker stuff. But again, that's that to me is like extraneous stuff, really, for non-superhero. Like, oh, that's crazy. I don't know. He's like, listen, Harry wets his bed. Gwen has really bad, like, halitosis. It's like the worst. Her breath's woofing. And by the way, Ben and J. Jonah Jameson, they're kind of an item. There you go. You're up to speed. Let's roll. Like,
they've been hanging out in those Turkish saunas too much together.
Exactly. I don't know exactly, what. And he's like, and also I peeked on Harry's, like, search history on his computer. He's in some real crazy shit. Like, again, we'll see. But she wants to know everything. Fine. But I assume, I think most people assume that she kind of knew everything. Yeah. Like, you could just assume that because he opened up to her, whatever, knows enough. But again, a lot of the things that Peter didn't want to tell her was because of the idea of protecting them. But they are on the run now, so that didn't work.
All she doesn't know, as far as we know, is that Gwen's one of the Mysterios. Right? That's what she doesn't know.
And like
she knows
I said,
everything
she
else.
might not know the big picture thing of the Maker and these sort of things. And hey, but I don't know.
I, Jim. I've forgotten.
Yeah, really.
It's been so bloody long.
Most people. So, yeah, maybe that's what we need. We need a little recap because I do think that in one of the books or all the books or maybe in these, because again, there's these side ones that I'm not interested with Cody Ziegler and Dennis Camp writing, so it might be my fault again. But I think that's the whole problem with the whole Ultimate Universe deal. People are going to have to get caught up and put up to speed with what the Maker and who and what. I'm sure there's people reading this book that say, I don't even know who the Maker is, but I don't care. I want Peter and the family. So we'll see how it goes. But the idea that the books or the Ultimate Universe is quote unquote ending, I just think it's what Marvel does. They will reboot with the new number one. Most of the same creative teams because Hickman's leaving. But in the meantime, I think that shit goes down just like it did in X-Men. Hickman left and all hell broke loose in that Krakoa bullshit. So I think that we're going to get the same kind of thing. So enjoy it while you can, people. But what would you give this?
Well, as I told you, like Jim, before we start recording, for me, it was so disappointing. Like, it felt like a big filler issue. The killer moments were, Richard as Venom, the Venom suit taking over. That was awesome. That was the best thing. But that was like, 3 pages, maybe 3.5. So for me, I'm down on this. It's 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm going to go 7. It's still not great.
Look at you.
I like that. It's killer into filler. That's what it was at the beginning.
Art's great. Gigetto's art, I love that. It's really good, but it felt like a lot of pages of him just like having heads talking to each other.
The pacing of this book has always been off.
We hardly move forward.
Yeah, it's crazy. But speaking of pacing, we'll move on to the next book. It's
okay,
the Incredible
let's do
Hulk. Incredible Hulk 27, The Falling Down Tree. It's written by Philip Kennedy Johnson. Guy likes to meander a bit. Kev Walker on pencils, inks Cam Smith, colors Matthew Wilson, letters Corey Petit. At one point I had talked to some people. It was on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, and I ended up saying that, hey, people really like Philip Kennedy Johnson, but I'm getting frustrated. It was this book, but it was also most of the other things that he does. I end up where everything seems to. It was also Batman and Robin. Another book that I like, but it gets drawn out and he gets caught up in side stories and minutia. And I said, but people really like Philip Kennedy Johnson. I was amazed at the amount of people who actually responded saying not that many people like Philip Kennedy Johnson.
Oh, really?
That a lot of people loved his War World saga, but even then I complained because we were doing minutia and lore and things. But if you're into that, you're into him. But this guy, and not just one guy, it was mainly one guy, but a bunch of people jumped in and said, yeah, I don't really care about him. And his books rarely sell. This Hulk's doing good enough.
Well, that's a shame. Like, different company, but I'm enjoying his Batman and Robin with DC.
Yeah, I am too. But again, you had a story that probably should have been 4 issues, 6 issues at the most, and it got stretched to like 13 because he just kind of meanders a bit. So you have the story that I'll say it. I say it every time. It's been just as much, if not more, of a Charlie book. Like the idea where they're like, how's the Incredible Hulk? Well, Charlie, pretty cool. Hulk is just there being led around by whatever whim Charlie has, or however she's being manipulated by this whole deal. And even when you read the, what's it called? The recap page, and you start talking, and they'll usually mention the eldest, the mother of, what do we get from any of that in all these issues? Like you just said, 19 issues of Spider-Man, and we didn't get a lot of Spider-Man. I said May and whatnot, but in 27 issues of the Hulk here, what have we really got of the? I understand that it's this like kind of, hey, it's kind of hooked me on. It reminds me, every issue reminds me of the TV show where they're just Bruce Banner randomly hitchhiking to places and walking, because we have just gone everywhere for Charlie. And then last issue, it seemed like, oh God, Charlie freaks out, runs away. Hey, we're not monsters. We're not monsters. She keeps saying that, but she runs away. I'm like, okay, now we're going to get to the big things, to have pretty much a one shot that feels like an episode of The Twilight Zone, or feels like an episode of like you ended up saying, what did you say that you thought it felt like?
This feels like an issue of Hellboy, which I do love. It's a really good horror comic, but it feels like it's like Hellboy issue with the Hulk as a guest star, right? Yeah, the Crooked Man, exactly.
Yeah, so when you do that, and people can argue and say, well, that's kind of the Hulk, and yeah, this is that whole play of like going from, or at least tapping into, say, the Immortal Hulk that Al Ewing did. So you have that, and I'm like, I get what he's doing. Doesn't mean that I'm having a grand old time. It's like the Bayou horror. It's really, kind of boring. Really does feel like Hellboy for me. And there are a lot of issues like this issue. Legit, I hate to say it, and I hate when it happens, but you don't have to read this issue. You are reading this for a full story and whatnot, you don't have to read this one issue, and you may like that. But I thought
it's a good single issue story, Jim. But as I said to you before we start recording, you could take the Hulk out of this, and it wouldn't really change the story. You could put any other character in.
And legit, I think it's kind of generic. I think that the play of this gets so generic that you realize there's no twist, because you realize, oh God, the boy's dead.
We knew straight away. We've read this before, haven't we? Many times. You've read different horror comics.
Yes. Yeah, this story has been in 50 million horror comics.
Swamp Thing years ago by Alan Moore, that kind of
thing. Same thing. And it's okay, but it feels very generic and been there, done that. And then by the end, what you end up happening is that Philip Kennedy Johnson, I think that he loves to write these pages at the end that give the background and the lore. The problem is, most people aren't, and even if you are, you're going to read it after the fact, and you didn't get much of anything in the issue because it goes by so quick that you have to go, and I say generic, but you have to go tropey. You have to have guy who is obviously the hick who beats people, and he's this.
One surprise, he beats his wife.
Exactly. When this happens, you're like, I get it.
That's original, isn't it, Jim?
Yeah, really. Yeah. So the whole play is that Hulk's there, and at first when it says Tennessee week 1, I couldn't remember where Charlie was from originally. I thought that this was Charlie's brother who ended up, getting hurt, and that this was going to be like, and it says week 1. I thought, oh, this is like almost like a year 1 type. They're going to go back and show you what happened to Charlie beforehand and give it. I'm like, okay, nope. This is just Hulk wandering and going to Tennessee, like Arrested Development.
I like the way it opens with the word smash as well, and it's not Hulk smash. It's just like this little boy saying smash. He's fighting with a fake sword, with a wooden sword. So,
get this, you see dead people. This kid's dead. He's in the woods, and he's there. Oh, man, smash, bang, woo. And he's fighting and doing this, and then he walks upon Hulk, who's having a little Hulk thinking time. He's there with his purple pen.
A Zen Hulk moment.
I know, look at the guy. I mean, legit, it looks like he's taking a crap.
Meditation,
but he ends up
baby.
where he's like, hey, how'd you get so big? And then Hulk looks, you're just small. Like, all right, they're friends now. Like, this is what everybody said to me. But yeah, and he's like, hey, these are my woods, and you get to play in them because you're a cool guy, and you're not a monster. We are monsters. And then he thinks back at Charlie. That is that all play of it. And then you end up seeing this kid has drawn pictures. That's my mom and my little sister and the bus that we live in. But there's a bad man. My daddy, he's the bad guy. Oh, goodness gracious. And then they go back.
What a surprise.
And you go and you have Sixth Sense at one point because this kid goes back to see his mom and dad and sister. they don't react to him, but you would think, I don't know why
they
would
at
this point.
In the background they can hear these huge like pounding sounds, and the wife mum's saying like, "What the hell's that noise?" The dad of course goes, "Hell would I know?
Hell would I know?" And it's the Hulk, like stomping around, but they
Stomping
end up
around.
where the kid goes, kind of sees, but explains to Hulk, "Hey, my dad, he does these jobs," and it's the kid's perspective. This is what always happens, though. The kid doesn't realize how bad his dad is. And
This is quite good. I quite like this part.
There's the play of he's like, "Yeah, my dad, he works at jobs, and then they bring home the PlayStations, but we don't have TV or electric, so I can't play them, but they're pretty cool, and I want a house with electric because I want to play the PlayStations." I'm like, all right. Whatever. So the whole it's such a weird
stolen
play.
goods, but he's got no idea. Has he?
Yeah, his dad's fencing stuff and stolen goods, but in the meantime, the dad has also killed this kid, and they're like, "Man, we got to get the hell out of here." I'm like, "Geez,
that was
not
crazy.
A real feel good issue, right?"
No, it isn't.
So you end
and
up
the wife,
where,
she's still with him. The mother,
yeah, she knows
what he did.
Well, in the background thing where it writes it says that's when he put a baby in her belly. But you end up with this whole thing. He's like, "We're getting the hell out of here.
Holy shit.
We can't leave. We can't." And mentions the kid. Like, "We can't leave without him." Like, "Bitch, the kid's dead.
Can't leave Petey."
Yeah, Petey's, and it says, "We'll never be," like, she actually is like, "We'll never be able to find our way back here." And at first I'm like, what do you mean by that? But it means, like, she wouldn't be able to come and go to his grave, which is this tree. And he says, "You don't want to go near that tree," but that's where his dead body is. Not really buried that well either. But the idea where he's like, "Yeah, you got to stay away from the tree." The tree, Hulk goes,
Yeah.
He sees what's going on in the tree. And at that point, I swear, I didn't know, I couldn't get the names or whatever because I wasn't that interested. But I thought that the guy killed one of his partners at work and that the kid was just, "Oh, the kid's dead." And yeah, then she goes and you have the mother come to say goodbye to this dead son, which again, she's a piece of crap for even going with this. But she tries to say, "It wasn't me. I didn't mean to do it. Please don't kill me. I'm not a monster. Oh my God, Petey, Petey, Petey." And Hulk's mad and then goes and just pretty much destroys this guy, grabs the bus. Because the guy's like, "I'm getting the hell out of here. And that bitch made me late. Now I'm going to leave and I'm going to do this." And then at one point says, "If that stupid bitch messed up my genie, I swear to God," I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? I think is that a radio? I don't even know what it is. And Hulk just throws the bus, ends up standing in the road, I guess, and takes that and then throws the bus. And the guy ends up, Hulk yells at him, "You killed the kid in the woods and I saw it. You're a monster. A monster killed him." I'm like, I get it.
I'm surprised he survived that, that bus throw, Jim, but he survived well enough to be able to pick up a shotgun and try shooting the Hulk, doesn't he?
Right in the face he tried.
And then what does the Hulk do? He punches him to death. We don't really see it, but we see like it from behind.
Yeah, so I like at one point, the one kid, the kid, Petey, is kind of cute where he goes, "Hey, are you going to call the Revengers?"
Yeah, that was nice.
That was pretty funny. But again, Hulk's getting revenge for this kid. And then the kid's like, "Hey," and the mother goes and, says, "Hey, here's the body." And then you see at the tree, you see the crime scene there. And he's like, "I don't know where I'm going to go." Hulk basically is going to say, "Well, you can go anywhere. You're dead." But he doesn't really want to say it. It's like the kid doesn't realize.
Say the words. Yeah.
And that's the thing. The cool play of it is that he doesn't want to go to that tree because that would be being able to admit and see that he's actually dead. So it's almost like
his own body. Yeah,
it's like the idea of him like trying to stay away from that so he can just pretend that he's still alive. But he says, "I think I'm going to go and follow my sister and teach her things." And then you have that play that babies and kids can see ghosts. So
it's a nice moment though, where the Hulk says like, "Sorry to the kid, to Petey. I'm sorry I was too late to help you." And he says, "Yeah, but you saved my baby sister."
Yeah, which is true, because who knows what would happen.
That's a nice moment.
Yeah, so it's okay. It's just, you said
it's okay.
Though.
Just say it's a Hellboy story.
Yeah,
in the Hulk issues.
It's so many. It's Ice Cream Man,
Gothic
it's
horror,
Hellboy, it's all that.
Southern America,
and then the Hulk's just left by himself, sitting in the woods taking a dump again. And then it says next, the brothers
looking at his
drum.
giant fingers.
Yeah, I think that this book just becomes one-shots like this for a while. And if that's your thing, it's fine. I just, at this point, we've had so many, progression of story with Charlie and the things with her in New Orleans, and then get turned into a chalk thing, and all that.
Have you heard, Jim? Like, is it gonna finish at 30? Maybe because its next issue is 28.
I
Isn't it?
did see something. It was either Solicit or something said, hey, these issues are leading up to the huge Hulk event, like nothing you've ever seen. I'm like, we don't really have that many issues to go. So I guess it's going to continue. It seems to be selling okay. I think that for the most part, when people talk about this book, I think they elevate it a bit because there's so much garbage. I mean, Marvel puts out so many bad books each week. And I'm not even trying to be outrageous here.
No, you're not.
But they put out like 20-some books. And usually if you can find 4 that are good, I'm not just talking like you're like, it was okay. I'm talking good. If you could, then you're a better detective than me.
This has been pretty good. It's a good horror book. And when Nick Klein, who does the cover as usual, but when he's on the main art, it looks awesome.
This is one of the top 5 books
we've
at
been
Marvel.
Disappointed with the story. There's never really that much in there to say it's. Is it really a Hulk book? I don't know.
Yeah, some people say that it's. This is what a lot of people said about Ryan North's Fantastic Four. Because there was a lot of 1 and 2 shots. And like, well, that's classic. That's but I'm like, well, I could go read classic. Kind of want something good now. But the idea that Hulk is, like I said, one of the top 5 books. Ultimate Spider-Man's right there. Probably number 1 for most people. I think Hulk is probably for most people 2 or 3.
Yeah, it's got to be in top 5, hasn't it? Definitely.
But yet, is it great? Is it one of those books that if you had your druthers, like of all comics, I'm not just talking big 2, is this better than, a lot of other things? And I just think that it's kind of gets boring and it's okay. I don't mind reading it, but I'm not seeking it out all the time. But what would you give this?
Well, as I say, I enjoyed it as a good Hellboy issue. It's not too bad. Good art. I got used to Kev Walker's art style now. The story it's a bit generic. It's like, we've heard this before, but some nice moments.
But it's done well. I mean, that's the problem. It's
done
generic,
well.
But done
There's nothing
well.
wrong with it. It's well done. There's not much it's not over dialogue, which is a good thing after coming from Ultimate Spider-Man. And my God, don't get me started on the Ultimates this week. But anyway, but for this year, Jim, I'm a straight 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I think I'm a 7 as well. I think this would have been a good annual. I think that this would have been a good
it would have worked
special.
well as that. Yeah,
if they had an anniversary type thing and they had a special and you had it, but it just starts getting frustrating of the overall. Now, again, the whole concept of his run is the monsters, and is Hulk a monster? The big thing was Charlie found out what Hulk is actually doing to Bruce, saying, oh my God, you are a monster, but I'm not, leaving. So you have that play with Hulk wondering if he is a monster, but it just ends up this one-shot thing. I don't know. It just, like you say, it felt too generic, but it was well done in that way.
It's not just me and you either, Jim. We've heard from like friends, in the comments and stuff that people do enjoy this as like one of Marvel's best books. So
to
me, it's not great. It's good, but it's not great.
Yeah, that's what I said. At Marvel, you have to have these asterisks with, hey, is that Ultimate Spider-Man? Oh, it's probably the best book, but you don't get a lot of Spider-Man. There's the asterisk. With Hulk,
it's up and down. Ultimate Spider-Man. You get a great issue, then you get like this latest one. It's like, oh my God, what? Not much happened.
Yeah, that's a shame.
It's up and down.
But that is it. We are done. We are done. And just the idea too. I did mention before, for a book that is one of the better books at Marvel, not a lot of people review the Hulk. They don't. There's never a lot of reviews, and that kind of shocks me.
That kind of worries me.
I think that goes back to the one guy saying that Philip Kennedy Johnson, he seems like a really nice guy. He, all the things that I've seen with him, but I don't know that he's a name that is drawing a lot of people to read, because I'm looking, this is issue 27. For issues 24, 25, and 26, each of them only have 1 review. 23 had 2, then you have 1, 2, 2, 1. You have to go all the way back to issue 17 to have 3 reviews. The big one was 14, I think, ended kind of a deal. That had 7, but that's so far away from now. Nobody seems to care.
It's worrying, Jim. And even on the different site, but League of Comic Book Geeks, the user reviews, which I'm checking, Ultimate Spider-Man, it's still early, but it's got 20 reviews already. Hulk's got 3. 3. Or, it's like...
It was...
That's a vast difference.
The last time there was like a lot of reviews was an issue that came out July 17th, 2024. And when I mention this, I'm not even talking scores, because the scores haven't been great either. But I talk about the amount of reviews. There's two reasons why a site doesn't review a book anymore. Number one is there's just no traffic, so nobody cares about the review. That's one. The other one, though, is legit, you just don't have anything left to say about a story that's meandering, and you don't want to bash it because there are a lot of sites and things that want to look positive. So it's kind of a fake positivity where they don't review things once they don't like it. They drop it instead of doing it like, instead of giving it a 5, I just won't review it. So it we don't look negative. That happens a lot.
Oh my
We don't
goodness.
go by that.
As you say, I'm looking at a comic book roundup. I know it's a kind of dying site, but the last 2 issues got 1 from critics, 1 review each.
Same, 1 review for the last 3 issues.
And then 1 and 2. Oh my God.
And it ends up being a site that kind of dabbles in doing AI reviews. So there you have it. So there you go. But even that, I'm looking, even the user reviews, you don't have a ton, but the reviews are not great. The last issue got a 4.3 user reviews.
Only 3.
And then a 5.7 with 5 reviews, a 6.5, 7.2. It's been pretty down.
Not just mixed. It's kind of down, isn't it?
So maybe us, because I feel bad. I think Phil Kennedy
Me too.
Johnson's
we want to love
guy.
these books. We want these books to be great.
It's not been
Don't we?
great.
We want to absolutely. We want to like tell you this is a great issue.
That'd be awesome.
Pick it up. But it feels like a while since we said that.
Just all of this. The lesson you have to learn this week is that don't get anywhere near that Savage Wolverine. That is one of the worst books I've ever read. But the Wolverine Spider-Man art, Terry Andrews' art's great.
I like his art.
That. I gave that up.
There's a lot of action in that. Jim, you've made me want to read, though, that Savage Wolverine now by saying how bad it is. You've made me want to read it.
You have to read it. You have to read it. It's so bad. Just somebody tell me it isn't. I was looking. I doubt. My guess is nobody will review that book. There will not be a review of that book, but I might be wrong. If anybody gives that a good review, never, ever read any of the reviews again. That's just, I'm telling you, don't trust anybody who gives that thing.
Is that more sus than a Gabe review? Very sus.
It's oh my God, you can't imagine. But that's it. Thank you for joining me for these other books. And tell everybody where they can find you before we leave.
You can find me down the bar in Yonago drinking Guinness. But apart from that, on YouTube, it's Wakizashi's Tea House with occasional comic book reviews. But Jim, I don't even know what it's worth anymore. What's it all about? Yeah,
what is it about? That YouTube is just, I go there to get yelled at. That's
somebody's dead on YouTube. It feels like a dead site.
Yeah, it's a dead site. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I think that people are kind of sick of comics at this moment. I think that we're not the only ones who are down on these books. And people always say, like, indie stuff, doing great. There's a lot of good indie books. But you need the big 2 to be hitting. That's what ends up getting a lot more people involved. That's when people get all excited. So hopefully,
Jim, just before we finish, I can shout out one thing. If you're looking for something fun, it really is fun. It's generic, but it's fun. There's a Marvel and Disney What If Goofy Became Spider-Man, which I did read.
It good?
It's kind of by the numbers. It's a Spider-Man origin, but with Goofy. But it's well done. Cool. And it's got good art. It's I think it's an Italian artist.
Okay,
does a great job.
A lot of the Disney stuff has like
they've been pretty fun. Art. I like the Wolverine one.
Yep. Yeah. So there you go. So check that out. But that's it. Thanks, Gray. Thanks, everybody, and we'll talk to you all later.
感動して感謝しました本当に大好きです私は普通の男ではありません私はもう本性の愛です私にからかわないでくださいそうしないとあなたは消えてしまいます私は普通の男ですでも私はあなたを殺しますだから